Alongside Patrick Brown, I'm Ryan Callahan, Go Vols 24/7, here inside Neyland Thompson Sports Center, where we just spoke with Darrell Sims, Willie Martinez, and a few Tennessee football players. Tuesday of Florida week. Patrick, let's talk with some defensive guys today, but we did hear from Darrell Sims also, talking about Tennessee's running backs, and some interesting comments about Dylan Sampson in particular. His comment after Saturday's loss at Arkansas kind of raised some comments about maybe Tennessee being a little lackadaisical during the open week. Darrell Sims had an interesting response to sort of what that was all about.
Yeah, Ryan, he said that when Dylan Sampson says stuff like that, he's almost kind of always talking about himself. And this is one of the leaders of the team. I mean, Sampson's been on leadership council since early in his sophomore year, even when he was, I guess, technically behind Jalen Wright and Jabari Small. And so he's had a voice and a presence in this locker room for a while. And Sims sort of suggested that when Sampson makes a comment like that, maybe that Sampson was talking a little bit about himself. You want to hear that about a leader because you want to see that accountability. I mean, Sampson's a guy that teammates follow. They follow his work ethic, follow his lead. And so if he's maybe taking upon himself to make sure things get corrected, then that's what you want to see from a leader and what you want to see from a team leader after a loss, because that's I think it's so important this week how Tennessee responds. They obviously have to play better, and if they're going to play better, it's going to start in practice this week and meetings and how they get ready for Florida on Saturday.
And that's certainly worth noting, because I know that comment drew a lot of attention. People think, how can Tennessee be lackadaisical or a top 5 team in the country? So it's at least worth noting. And I think that's one of those things. It's hard to speak for 85 players on any team, right? Like if one player might feel something, it might be even if it's based on other players, it might be based on 4 or 5 other players, not everyone on the team. So I wouldn't take that to mean everyone on the team just did nothing during the open date. As far as Tennessee's defense, obviously it's the offense that everyone feels all upset about this week, coming off the loss, but still some things to clean up defensively, and we certainly heard a little bit about that today, but also about just the players responding to the loss in general. And it sounds like this team has taken the right approach, or the type of approach you would want to see from a team coming off a loss like that.
Yeah, guys like Andre Turrentine, Arion Carter are saying the right things, but it's all going to come out in how they play on Saturday, Ryan. That's words are words until they're actions, and so Tennessee needs to put those words about being elite competitors and bringing it every day. And I think even Turrentine said that the loss brought the team closer because they now know, like, okay, we have to bring it every week in this league. You get hit in the mouth and you have to respond a certain way. So it'll be in the proof on Saturday and how they play. Obviously, going back to Dylan Sampson's comments, they played lackadaisical. They made a lot of little mistakes that were avoidable, and it cost them big time. So they've got to go correct those mistakes and ensure they don't happen in this game. But yeah, I mean, looking at the defense, talking to Willie Martinez, obviously they had some openings against zone coverage. He talked about tackling as an issue, that they need to be better. They want to be elite at tackling. They want to be dominant defensively. He also talked about some one-on-one plays that they just didn't make, and sometimes that's fundamental, sometimes that's technique, but and sometimes you just got to go make a play. Arkansas's guys made some plays, particularly in the second half against Tennessee secondary, and Tennessee secondary needs to come back this week and make some of those plays when they're going against Florida.
And some talk about Will Brooks, the guy that has continued to come up, but Willie Martinez, not shockingly, had some glowing things to say about him and just sort of the way he has approached things since he got to Tennessee. They arrived, he was already here, and put in a lot of work to show that he can be the kind of contributor that they have seen him turn into. But obviously he's a unique story on this team, a guy that has sort of waited his turn, a 5th-year guy, and now he's a starter on this team and still playing pretty well.
Yeah, Brooks this was kind of a preseason. It kind of took a preseason tone early in some of the post-practice stuff. But yeah, I mean, Will Brooks is a good story. He's a player that coaches can point to and say, this guy's consistent every day, and we know what we're getting. He knows the defense inside and out. He takes practice seriously. He's hard on himself, and that's a guy that coaches will point their players to as, hey, you can lean on this guy, and Tennessee's players have, and they've continued to try to get better in the secondary, and Brooks is part of the reason, part of the communication back there and part of getting everybody on the same page, and he's played pretty well too. So that's been a good success story for Tennessee so far.
And they're hoping to have another one Saturday night with a big rivalry game coming up against Florida, 7 o'clock Eastern time inside Neyland Stadium. It's Checker Neyland. Big game obviously coming off a loss, and Tennessee still trying to remain right in the thick of the playoff race. So it's an important one. We'll have all the coverage throughout the week on GoVols247.com.